Hello, dear Italy and the Vatican, simultaneously, distinctly and non-distinctly. Because of that and how the Trinity's identity is simultaneously, distinctly and non-distinctly onto the identity of each nation and onto the identity of each modern religion, simultaneously, distinctly and non-distinctly as the value of each modern nation. Where and as and how we're in an identity of negative value nature progression that is self-valued, blamed on other causes, things, and selves, as roles with all formal fact-keeping nature styles forced by nature, which is identity's identity of relationship to itself, and is the value of that, unceasingly, wherein as and how we are each complete identity of nature, Trinity nature as value as nature simultaneously, distinctly and non-distinctly, because it is smaller than the smallest thing, while bigger than the biggest thing, and while as the value of the sequence true, order of the finite, smallest thing, order to it together, order to the active, order to the progressive nature of volume together. Romulus and Remus are two semisections of five connected semisections. Alpha is one because yin yang is inseparable, and that's omega nature. The extent of physical value and of metaphysical value simultaneously that could be through it has to come through this quality of diffusion we are already, inherently, actively, and progressively simultaneously. Further to what is value before and after this, simultaneously, though, as the same identity as a sequence nature, already with those positions into and as the value of our temporary positive. So, further unceasingly, still, modern nations as criminally legalized criminal insidiousness nature. So, as natures of logic that can't defend their justifications of their fact cheated nature qualities, styles, and actually recorded nature without offensively hurting free and preventing free speech and valuing it already offensively hurt and prevented, and valuing already all precedents and all statutes and wording of the law and acceptations of them formally, criminally foreign influenced. Now, this is worse than negotiated with, worse than terrorism, organized crime, racketeering that is recorded, especially with psychology, most private and most overt criminal enterprises collusion, because this is also collusion with the branches of government and with shared policing of prisons associated with them, and associated with values treatments with the Trade Center and with other nations' equivalents in relationship to a whole range of natures of private treatments of positive, fact treatment nature quality, positive that are pseudo positive, that are as criminal insidious nature, that are lie progressions inside of negative value nature progressions demonstrated by nature that needs the campus Marcius from ancient times when the species was valuing and understanding how to cause evolution by valuing sequence true, the order to the inherent, the finite is the in order to the inherent, the active, the order to and as the value of the active fact keeping nature quality, order to is simultaneously with and as our relationship to and as the value of distinctly, non-distinctly progressive nature of on which Adam and Eve are. Romulus and Remus are the inherent nature of the extent of our nature that we are in control of one way as alpha. By we in one way control means to see the identity that we are semi-nature relationship to, that is simultaneously where each individual distinctly and non-distinctly has what is not just the Trinity in physics and metaphysics, but as the nature of identity, nature itself, as forever nature. Only the extent of it is debatable, but since semi-ancient times, offensively, we have the phenomena of phrases like and values like treatments like scientific consensus used for fact treatment nature racketeering originally and still since semi-ancient time with all formal treatments of this is what put St. Nicholas into jail. Interbranch individually grouped and together victim predators, organized crime roles with psychology. This is also tied to value treatments shared by a whole bunch of we're hundreds of nations. So if one nation starts admitting this, the only way they can discern it is through evidence reception that is not hiding from. Like in other words, you could see, especially like in New York City, there are people stacking. There is an unfolding of the pathology of infrastructure that was involved with the fact, cheaping nature, torture, and slavery of America's founding fathers, and they have that overtly and simultaneously insidiously glorified because no one's paying attention, but through identities of a job, identities of relationship to the insights or the knowledge of leaders. This is all hundreds of nations group shared policing undercover. That means uses of identity of the ground that they share to check each other's value treatments. If they're because they're all liar, they're all standing lie progressions blamed on other things, others themselves, as originally and still self-valued as styles of liars forced by nature itself. So offensively facilitated needing to pretend that others are liars out of sequence. So this is sequence racketeering where they're forcing people to fake conversations and never allowing counters to various natures of courts involved with various natures of police forms and a whole bunch of foreign and domestic medical families, especially the ones with psychology. That goes into every other nature of job that defends themselves the way they do in relationship to bosses. Now this is racketeering exploiting that. This is fact cheap nature. Note that not just murders tied ones with the Trade Center attack. The investigators also recorded involved with predicate acts like mail crimes, whole mail crime methods, wire crimes, whole wire crime methods, database racketeering roles, originally and still used to keep modern nations enter the value of sciences, even if you're homeschooled. Homeschooled people also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated, also with private schools involved with racketeering interagencies, inter Coast Guard, intermilitary, foreign and domestic in collusion. How maintained, facilitated, motivated to that is the recorded exploitation of rightfully hid things about the identity of the relationship to the ground. But this was sophistication here, exploiting such since before our founders were born. They know about it. They've been exploiting it in collusion with the overt criminal enterprises too. There are just identities of suits and ties, counters to it, that are in collusion. They are recorded offensively preventing freedom of religion by holding religion into racketeering roles with the branches of government are already recorded involved with racketeering. Forgiveness is about how. Because everyone's a victim of this, maintaining each age of fact-cheating nature from off the ground of education on off it in layers, hurt by vertical and horizontal racketeering with databases and with exploitations of it through the lie progressions, directly and indirectly. Everyone through, and this is everyone speaking through other, where everyone's maintained self-valued roles. Then so kept needing to defend themselves with value treatments, blaming other things, others themselves, for what facilitated the branches needing to be in collusion with overt criminal enterprises, with private ones, and with all the people intermilitary, foreign, and domestic shared policing, and just all the people hurt and stayed hurt, victim predators. We have whole breaching organized crime method using human fact nature involved with actually what slavery is about. All these revelations and it means to reveal reliefs from nowhere for everyone regarding that, especially the most forsaken. Identity of the relationship to the ground. We have the environment used to keep the nations are grouped crime roles. The way we have the only let realized natures of legal representation involved with racketeering that is not only having valued private fact treatments and legal treatments that you can't value in us at the same time. In other words, because that is involved with fact treatment racketeering roles they use to keep everyone forced to collusion with misprision criminality with prosecutors originally and still using time always too fast, too slow, and speaking through others with that, so pretending not to realize, and they're preventing that from being reported. They're preventing a whole bunch of things from being reported, mandated crimes. They're also recorded speaking things into records, tricky, trying to pretend things that they know are not true, right, into records, and including their passions, emotions implied with this, because they're needing to apply those passions, emotions per the mandated law, prevention, sabotage, and worse, torture, identity racketeering roles, database racketeering roles against each age of fact sheeting nature with the same groups. A whole bunch of people tied to a Dillon family. Also with a whole bunch of every so but this is forgiveness is for this because you have to see what won't allow forgiveness and whether it's pretending to be positive. It's pretending to be good people on a mass scale. Intercities connected, interstates, hiding worse than interstates roles with each state in each area and each database relationship, especially regarding the ones of campuses of all natures, not just all ages, but also how of all ages enter that, how they maintain from off the campus ground of education, on and off it, and layer collusion and motivations with it, and natures of organized crime with it that everyone missed. So this is also racketeering with fact-cheating nature, it pretending not to realize that undercover, foreign and domestic, already were and are in collusion with all natures of racketeering. And see, we don't have one nature of agency that wasn't realized under and as this because of the way the former director of the FBI, for example, is recorded involved with racketeering of a whole bunch of natures associated with CNN, also recorded and confessed having been used by them for elections racketeering against whoever wins and against whoever doesn't win. The whole process is recorded involved with racketeering uses of town offices in Wethersfield through town, of all the elections locations. The people involved with that are involved with a whole bunch of racketeering, demonstrated, confessed, and recorded, involved with the corner of, all involved with two routes completely, a whole bunch of people all along that route involved with racketeering with interbranch databases and private tied to them, like from Church Street in Wethersfield into the corner of Church Street and Main Street, straight up to CCSU and to Paul Manafort Drive. Recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with racketeering right through administrations. Also with that, involved with each age of fact-cheating nature, intercampuses racketeering. A whole bunch of natures of police forms, families already invested themselves to behind to evidence reception racketeering, evidence perception racketeering too. Originally and still, see, uses of color is about offensive perception racketeering with evidences and with formal positions because they needed to hide life progressions. and they need to do so offensively too, actively and progressively. In other words, and what maintains that is what is against each age of fact keeping nature, again, from off the ground of education, on off campuses and layers, using that for racketeering to keep databases and a whole bunch of names used by a name stacking organized crime method that is criminally forcing people to speak through other people, and or when it's forcing people isolated this way because it sustains them per means to, and needs to keep originally and still all rules with criminally foreign influenced identities of and as fake sides, maintaining the real causes of negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures blamed on other things themselves, maintaining free speech not allowed, demonstrate how our zoning laws, how our systems were our criminally foreign influence, and how that is used to force sustained mandated law crimes. Whole bunch of things you can't tell on because no one will let you speak. And if you, the more you do, the more interbranch racketeering natures will stick fake things into databases because they were already facilitated to racketeering on off the campuses of each age, connected intercities, worse than interstates, facilitated worse exploitations of that. There are a whole bunch of cases going around on now regarding treatments of values with people's lives. Each age of fact should be nature. Each one of those courts, each one of those police forms associated with that are recorded with a whole bunch of other nations and with a whole overt criminal enterprises and with a whole bunch of private ones recorded and racketeering and collusion leading up to and in the Trade Center attack. Now, and this is with further predicate acts and natures of methods of predicate acts like mail crime, wire crime, and criminal uses of body dumping spots through time, fake news racketeering, identity thefts, fake conversations with people associated with federal criminals, foreign and domestic, and former director of the FBI, and his co-defendants involved with the racketeering with the databases clicks at each of the campus I went to through time. As people also recorded racketeering roles with people next to these schools and with the next to corners in town. I'll gather around. So there are police forms associated with the corner of Wocket Hill, both corners of it, for example, all along the route from the, what is it called, the Putnam Bridge, from Glastonbury over to Wethersfield, the house at the end of it with the Oliveri family, people on off the state judicial branch offices, which is right there a little bit further up the street, houses next to it, and then families involved with that, and Wethersfield Pizza. Stephen Stocco, Maria Fazzino, her brothers, and her mother and father, and her neighbors all recorded, confessed, and demonstrated all these racketeering acts, natures, and roles with a whole bunch of people tied to a Dillon family, a Bonin family, a DeMoro family, with racketeering with people further on off the campuses of the principal child offender and other campuses intercities with the same ones further with Connecticut. I mean, with Connecticut, but with inter campuses in my town, further criminal with the schools, and how with medical families that keep attaching me to fake conversations. And then when there are no conversations at all, these are tied to ones that also have physical delusions. Doctors with racketeering roles with houses in my street that had kids with now interbranch families, foreign and domestic, involve racketeering with them through time. I just remind, these are people racketeering with the transition from ACA to RICO, Organized Crime Control Act, to the Racketeering Influence and Corrupt Organization Act. It is so simple to see that and to discern all the impositions on Hartford, Connecticut, where they had all the shootings through time. It's tied to these same cliques, like with polling places and stuff like that. Now they have how many? See, people are just going for titles. Each party alternatives are in collusion, keeping a quality of fact-keeping nature, only styles of liars, preventing mandated law, lying about others offensively, about what they perceive, But the courts are criminally, offensively, consciously recorded, consciously telling people to sue them, knowing they can't because of the crime acts and methods they already put in place that are preventing that because they're forging names and switching names, falsifying police reports, stacking the natures of crimes as in per a method that is also stacking a whole bunch of names of strangers pretending other, all speaking through others and pretending they couldn't believe that a title would lie, would do such crazy things without letting it spoken because they're not letting anything put on paper. They're using and having used the directors and all associated with theater at the movies levels. Their uses of Darth Vader for the interbranch racketeering and roles with sexual crimes against each age of girls, even against men, for them to get responses that they're also recorded using for racketeering to keep everyone lied about if they try to use aggression for proper uses of it, and or for naive uses of it, trying to counter what everyone needs to counter, but everyone's blaming on the wrong things other than selves, and or is hurt by the sequence racketeering that is, the identity of the ground of each thing happening is being used by what already put kids through time into fake locations. That's tied to actively criminally involved in various natures of courts with uses of obstruction of justice also offensively because they're involved with racketeering with kids on and off the middle school, on and off the high school through time already, with families that are, good people. Some they have behavior racketeering because they're good in relationship to what they don't care about, which is racketeering with the databases and uses of it. And it's all right if everyone has opinions, but everyone's opinions are preventing mandated law right through elections. Our racketeering roles with uses as the value of the uses of Mueller, of the value of the uses of the opinion natures of it with the media because of the people with the quote unquote intelligence community, recorded racketeering roles with uses of the word black in the mind of everyone. Forget about it. No one stood up for what is clear. So not means appeared, but more roles deep. Fact treatment nature styles and natures they need to keep hurt each and value having been hurt each age of fact treatment nature by little styles of law jobs that can't defend themselves, but through valuing what was facilitated for them, like precedence itself, criminally foreign influence, delusions wrought, like scientific consensus itself, criminally foreign influence, delusions wrought, use racketeering against scientific process in our face overtly and simultaneously insidiously. And this tied to the phenomena of the misprision criminality and misprision criminality crime methods, acts, and natures as real evidences recorded interbranch, individually, grouped, and together. Each branch individually, every individual group it together. Recorded women of each branch of government are involved with the crimes with the kids. They're self-evaluating because they're needing to hide their offensive life progressions from their spots of non-integrity, of not being able to fathom, just like and tied to why and how, just like the pathology of modern urban areas, even suburban areas. And so this is tied to the suburban or slash urban Hartford that is involved with this racketeering method with the pathology of our zoning laws and the styles of homes involved with the fact treatment nature slavery and torture of our founders and uses of zoning laws and of pathology of homes forced tactically semi-unsafe for the breaching organized crime racketeering method. And this is since before cars. And this is what our means still are with and as only because we have those physical delusions offensively maintained to keep styles of knaves only letting opinions, not preventing mandated laws Defense. We have we have the police recorded offensively worse than entrapment, pretending people should go down. How come they never hang around in the areas? If you can't hang out, they'll try to arrest you. People will approach you with drugs and things like that because intercampuses of Hartford were involved with racketeering. The same ones involved with it, like a Leahy family, is involved with racketeering with a whole bunch of people with former director of the FBI down. Criminal uses of states attorneys, their databases, criminal uses of prosecutors, their databases, their minds, their souls, originally and still. All we have to need to know is recorded. See, they're recorded offensively, consciously already having used words like facts and truth for racketeering, and then they maintained like gangs. They have to do evil thing to get in the gang. CNN does evil things, pretending to believe things criminally when they know it's recorded other. So they're committing racketeering acts and roles, preventing mandated law. They're involved with racketeering against. See, this racketeering method knew that it was going to force the nature of pathology that are modern urban areas. And so even suburban areas were designed to maintain negative value nature progressions, acts in nature's self value. Because now we're a tactically denatured relationship to nature. Our food comes through other value nature, a value nature system that is actually that is only going to cause is originally and still abridged. Constitution breaching tool method to the breaching screen that originally and still left and leaves all mandated law fake offensive evidence racketeering uses of every value like vetting. This is also criminal. That's how they're getting away with the inter types of law recorded involved with manifest Trinity racketeering, with manifest fake sides, fake difference, fake who's helping who because they're preventing free speech offensively. There were a whole bunch of people involved with a whole bunch of natures of racketeering of each age of campus I went to. And this is further involved with Joshua Julian, who's further involved with the principal sex offenders campus and further confessed and recorded and demonstrated Justice Department racketeering with and military racketeering, foreign and domestic, all that stuff, prison cliques and stuff like that, foreign and domestic military associated with coaches. Like there's a Casper, a coach guy, never had a conversation with him or his kids, a Casper family. There were other coaches of a wrestling team. McCoy, guy, never had a conversation personally with the people. Maybe a couple of words. One of them, couple of them, not even. In other words, they make you walk by them. They pretend you had conversations in databases because we have investigators pretending that, but they wouldn't do it on paper because those people wouldn't say what they pretend they said. They attach everyone to fake words, fake sequences. They attach my mother, the recorded fake words, fake sequences. They did this because the same people with WFSB recorded, confessed, and demonstrated racketeering acts with a whole bunch of people in cases that my father won an NLRB case. And WFSB was spreading lies with racketeering, families with prosecutors and with judges who are crimes with child sex offenders and with people's names. They've been spreading lies online, making fake child sex offender maps with people already on the child sex offender registry street, especially if made up because they're involved with New York retired and standing degenerate people with like fire department badges that are you the only reason they were realized like that involved with child sex offenders and stuff actually and untimely deaths and stuff and confessions from strangers that made me aware of this because their roles also with the investigators of the Trade Center. Everything that went down, how people react. We have originally and still a whole bunch of things valued that maintain lipoaggressions needed for reasons other than are legitimately. I forgot what it was. So I'm talking to the species nature of volume here because they have, for example, they have Christopher Columbus as a holiday, and they have attacks against him with roles with fake sides of Trinity. Uses of preventing how each person's identity was stolen. And that was forced, or that person was worse than her, alone, not alone to everyone around them. This is a breaching organized crime method that was in layers, built nature's needs, roles, interests, influences, and worse, only capable of blaming the real causes of negative value, nature, progressions, action, nature, and other things other than themselves. Of course, these racketeering branches are racketeering with prisons too, because then now they need to hide their life aggressions through there too. They need to hurt those people. This is what Santa Claus, Saint Nicholas, this is about defensive positive. Positive and negative are demonstrations of identity's course. I'll drop the force, box sings, right through fake sides. All realize. They even make three fake sides a whole bunch of ways, vertically and horizontally. Already have. This shows how identity works, but we're not having evidences. We have evidences racketeering natures to counter. We have a whole bunch of internet. We have a whole bunch of people with JCs, Jewish community centers, recorded, confessed, involved also with prosecutors and with judges, retired and standing, with a whole bunch of people, police forms and stuff like that, narratives in the background that were used for racketeering, that associated with like on off East Hartford locations, because now we have where they're building planes, where we have shared policing already with the people involved racketeering, shared policing of stores, of malls, of places, intercities connected to campuses of each age that are involved with racketeering against each age of people in those towns, because they're going to walk around. They're not going to just sit in their house, and they're going to be exploited simultaneously, sickly, and non-distinctly in suburbs and in urban areas. See, in a suburb, you could have kids that your same exact age that live not far from you, but you never have a conversation with them in your life. They'll put you into fake words and locations with those people. The same way they'll do that other ways with and lie about the substance and nature of every conversation in Hartford, Connecticut. The same ones criminally involved with racketeering, all kinds of racketeering, with on off the state judicial branch offices connecting our town. I mean, on off the state prison offices connecting our towns. Same houses next to that, people next to that through time involved racketeering with this Dillon family, with his partner and people involved with the police forms in my area, with the foreign and domestic racketeering, with overt criminal enterprises, and with the witness protection program stewards recorded kept needing to hide the same life progressions with them, already involved with databases racketeering. Fake news stole my identity with a whole bunch of people tied to this Finanza family and to this Dillon family with my new and past neighbors. Also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with the racketeering intercampuses like CCSU, on and off it, whole bunch of state police, racketeering with them with the same houses through time since before the first police chief. The police chief we have now, long-standing, also his daughter and extended family involved with the principal sex offenders class campus further criminally, and with prosecutors that were male and female. Also, they had victims advocates through time that pretend things are recorded that aren't with the courts, and where they prevent little kids free speech, and they attach little kids to fake locations through time with sick people that are involved, maintain, manifest as the value of our Justice Department records and stuff like that, networks that are manifest as fact cheap in nature, value streams, trade center, all evidences, treatments, originally and still criminally foreign influences. They're preventing, they're racketeering with uses of of facts and truth to prevent to prevent how they're racketeering CNN roles with Fox Connecticut News, with WFSB. CNN, please respond, because I know a way to get a response, and that's what's recorded standing. That will change, because this is also recorded racketeering with uses of Facebook right through elections, with elections racketeering crime roles, uses of town offices, uses of the libraries, intercities, and with actors further involved with racketeering with judges, with the middle school, with houses on offer involved further with the principal, with the child offenders campuses. This is also how they have the police forms. A whole bunch of people tied to a Phil Colello and tied to New Britain Superior Court men and women are involved with abuses of women through time, the youngest kids, because they're racketeering roles also with military, criminally foreign influence, identity theft, racketeering, fake roles with fake locations and all these fake narratives of police forms, falsified police reports, stacking natures of crimes and roles of people pretending they don't like people's other, oh, this person's a rap, then they're pretending they know you. They should. These are people making confessions even online because they're needed to pretend you were in locations they never were. Conversations that never were. Whole bunch of people off on off two-route highway recorded, confessed, and demonstrated, involved further with Justice Department racketeering, foreign and domestic racketeering with medical corruption, with child sex offenders, further even criminal uses of homeschool people reported, confessed, demonstrated, and involved further with policing of Wethersfield stores, shared, Panera Bread, employees of these stores, stuff like all maintain criminally foreign influence. They have racketeering with triage places involved with the overt racketeering drugs and with private racketeering with drugs and uses of it, because their racketeering means by exploiting an anomaly where they have psychology originally instilled, left self-value with lie progressions from their treatments and uses of logic as criminal insidiously natures, delusions wrought and criminally foreign influence, quality effect treatment nature styles, methods and natures pretending that they don't realize that and how their evidences, formal and informal, are criminally foreign influence. Also delusions wrought and engineered for racketeering of the method that keeps a whole bunch of methods and natures of motivations and liars other. So we have Wethersfield town meetings also recorded involved with the racketeering method that is preventing free speech offensively, is identity theft racketeering, all kinds of medical racketeering, uses of elderly homes, uses of opinion natures tied to that Washington, D.C., politics maintained effectively, criminally foreign influence elections roles, uses of town offices through time, uses of probation officers for racketeering in collusion with overt criminal enterprises, using our town offices, using our libraries. We have further various natures of courts and their family members and the family members of the medical families and foreign and domestic military racketeering roles further. Whole bunch of people tied to Middletown with the further Rocky Hill, Wethersfield, New Britain Superior Court, Hartford courts involve racketeering acts. Let's go. Let's get them with WFSB, Fox Connecticut News, recorded. They're pretending they don't understand because this is before they did that. And then within that is the substance of that. They also pretended I had relationships to doctors as a kid, but I would never were. Yeah, these are also the people that spread lies to Rick Faglione and his brother, and his roles with a Brian Silver, and with other people associated criminally with prosecutors like Pandolf brothers, and people associated with the Kerr family, and with Charlie Bowes, and people with on-off Trinity College. Further with a whole bunch of state police and racketeering with the end of the Berlin Turnpike leading up to all the people that associated with building businesses leading up to it involve racketeering with my family, fake news, racketeering acts, identity thefts, fake words with me. Prevent when I try to call them to get a counter to it, they won't respond. They recorded, confessed, and demonstrated through time they used triage places to start violence with guns, with knives, with poisons, intercities connected, election racketeering connected, uses of those spots connected. Now, see, what are the names of my new neighbors associated with these racketeering with the judges and with Sean Dillon, Anna Dillon, Kevin Dillon? Recorded involved with racketeering a whole bunch of people with two Mendez police, their family, their friends. Whole bunch of people with the main brother, their family, their friends. I only barely know them and only from their roles with racketeering. Then connected to and as the ones involved now with the WFSB, Foxct Connecticut News, racketeering with a whole bunch of people, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated, associated with the clubs that go downtown, associated with this Casper family, sequence racketeering, identity thefts with a whole bunch of people on and off, sequence shift racketeering with the whole groups, on and off Two Ride Highway, on and off the route from Glastonbury past the judicial branch offices all the way down to Cromwell. All spots along there involve racketeering with that state on off the state judicial branch offices clicks, which is many names, men and women, uses of their life aggressions, use of their actually recorded natures, roles with police, falsified police reports they don't even know about or understand. Former director of the FBI down, whole bunch of federal criminals associated with all the boxing gyms, all the natures of businesses. They have jobs as a value used to maintain originally still criminally foreign influence value nature system, self-value, negotiated with terrorism. Right where and as and how, you're going to only have people with roles blaming on other things other than selves. Fake patriotism, breaching screens. We have the stewards of racketeering laws, and involved with the racketeering. Smile about it because the way they're victim predators. I'm not saying because they smile, because there's 50,000 reasons they can smile because they're so sick. Everyone's going to smile. No, and then this is also, in other words, everyone wants to make it hard about color, but no one ever lets hard, forced, quality fact treatment nature. No one uses passion emotions for that. Only people use passions and emotions for roles where facts and truths are two words, two values being used for racketeering. They're preventing mandated law originally and still. What used color originally and still is about a racketeering method using human fact treatment nature. They have uses of types of lawyers and their reactions and justifications of themselves originally and still. A part of the problem with the branches, natures of identity law as well, which is against Trinity nature, which is against logic because their delusions wrought and criminally foreign influence. So we need free speech to demonstrate that because they won't follow the law. The same way they wouldn't originally. Same way they want to let that they have that self-glorified, pretending not to realize offensively by pretending that our founders shouldn't be associated with slavery. So we'll glorify them other. In other words, they're associating with the slavery that way. Our founders didn't want slavery. Our founders weren't slaveholders. Everything was written in databases was forced because they're checking each other. They have to take those kind of nature or racketeering roles, or they're going to be hurt. The formal law natures. So I need mandated law follow. Connecticut elections are involved with racketeering, also intermilitary. Texas too. There was one guy. They have real sick people involved with all kinds of natures of racketeering, private campuses, medical campuses, in the VA. involved with the racketeering here, and their uses of on water locations. Racketeering. We won't know. Get them from my name and pull the ones who did it in the background out the paper, because we have further racketeering with male racketeering and with uses of color, with black and white, together with racketeering with databases and with drug racketeering, medical racketeering, and racketeering with judges with black and white and fake sides with Confederate flag, offensively pretending not to realize that, like CNN recorded involved racketeering with Trade Center clicks. And so now, if they want forgiveness, someone please help, because they're involved racketeering also with Facebook, with child sex offenders, with courts. New Britain Superior Court recorded, confessed, and demonstrated falsifying police reports with child sex offenders and use and roles with their police forms and their families, including prosecutor families involved with the child sex offenders, drug crime roles, attaching people to fake locations in police reports, and with the courts, fake words, fake sequence, fake ties to other people through time, the same courts and various natures of courts and their family members, racketeering natures originally and still. I'm the only one who's going to do it because I'm the one. I'm scared to do it too for righteous reasons, because for correct reasons, because offensively, these are offensive evidence perception racketeering natures, pretending to perceive things. That's recorded, confessed, and demonstrated. See, but they're speaking misprision, and they're recorded racketeering acts that demonstrate that they say things that are other than they actually are recorded, having actually confessed and actually recorded. Now, these are uses of on-off campuses locations like Millwoods Park, involved with racketeering with police forms through time. A whole bunch of people associated with this Dillon family. And this is how they bring the women into it. Because now they have the women stewards of jobs and stewards of the relationships to sensibilities with the cliques. This is racketeering roles they're conforming grammar school kids to, because they're racketeering roles with the various natures of judges and of prosecutors and of police forms and their kids and their roles with military and their roles with who's got what color and what position, and racketeering with that, because they're making that make sense when they speak, and they're sick, and they're attaching their roles, attaching everyone to fake, sustained fake conversations, no means to counter. Foxct Connecticut News recorded, confessed, and demonstrated being coached to this, coached to racketeering acts, uses of the sensibilities of online platforms, coached to racketeering acts, roles like with Facebook, like with the people, the reactions to all the interbranch, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with the people pretending to be me on YouTube and on Facebook. Also recorded involved with them with racketeering uses of Saudi families and their narratives with the people from my town with racketeering uses of the people attached to me, like a Saudi family, like Saudi families on off CCSU is recorded, confessed, involved with racketeering against Saudis, but also using them, having used them for their crimes with the black and white racketeering, military police and military families, foreign and domestic, involved with identity racketeering, stealing our identities. I don't know who put that military cap on with the girl they have involved with the racketeering with West Hartford, West Farmers Mall, also with the military, with the Scalora family and with this DeMorrow family and with this Kerr family involved with the houses in my area, tied to their extended family members, Scalora and a Phil Colello, further recorded and confessed with the Britain Superior Court and with intercities courts, further racketeering with forensics clicks also, and criminal and legal body dumping spots, further clicks also. Whole bunch of people think tied to the shared policing of the clubs downtown Hartford in New Haven, involved racketeering with the FBI, racketeering with them personally, with defendant, former director of the FBI, involved with the straight crime of predicate acts and natures of crimes against me and confessions from strangers. And they know this. They're fake sources. They need their sources to be told on, so they can pretend to perceive things, because various natures of courts and their state judicial branch offices and the state prison offices are already involved with the racketeering with the databases. Since before I was ever in that location, on off CCSU was already involved with racketeering acts against me, facilitated as verbal ones, as sequence shifts, as roles attaching me to fake conversations, fake locations, fake relationships to others, fake natures of relationships to others. Whole bunch of sick prosecutors associated with the Britain Superior Court on off CCSU involved racketeering with a whole bunch of police forms from my area through time, involved racketeering acts connected at each campus I went to and uses of them. For a whole bunch of people further with the Joshua Jewell and also with the Facebook racketeering with medical corruption and ones with badges and with behavior racketeering tied to that. But their roles with the fact uses of facts and truth, where they pretend they have the statutes that tell them they can do things, but they're leaving out their racketeering acts actually recorded, the racketeering methods actually recorded, like uses of truths and facts. CNN, please fix the fake news, because we're going to make real news and real science. You should be a part of it with New York City. And we're going to come looking for the people involved with the straight line of racketeering against me leading up to the Trade Center attack context, and then crime acts against me and others in the Trade Center attack context right before the attack. I thank God I didn't have to live through that, and or after it. The people with the cleanup got hurt even. These are people involved also. You know, the investigators of that are further involved with racketeering roles, with the investigators of that, also with further Trade Center predicate acts, as the ones from Connecticut interbranch and private tied to them, like Sandy Hook families, and tied further. These are the ones also predicate acts further with the principal sex offenders campus, and further on off the campus in Wethersfield with foreign and domestic medical families involved with criminal uses of untimely deaths and racketeering with falsified police report rolls. Get down! I'll get around.